What's up, Aries? So this is going to be for Aries rising, Aries sun, and also if you happen to have the planet Uranus sitting in the third house when you were born. So you're only going to know that if you've gone to Cafe Astrology or if you've pulled your natal chart at some point and know this. So Uranus over the next 7 years is going to be in the sign of Gemini. So Aries, you will for 7 years be sitting in the third house. That's ruled by Gemini. So welcome to what it feels like to be a Gemini. How about that? That's why I always say when I do collective readings on the channels, I tell people that any of the readings can resonate with anybody because as you can see, each one of us, depending, it doesn't matter what our sun or rising is, we still end up going through all the houses of the zodiac, which is all areas of life. And so we all end up experiencing what each other feel like. How about that? So the third house, for you, this is going to be mentally fast for you. So it's going to be a high movement transit. You naturally are action driven. You are very direct. Okay, you're a bold sign. You're very aggressive. You are very ambitious. Okay, you can also be impatient. So there's always ups and downs to each sign. But you're a fast moving identity. So Gemini is the thought, it's the thinking. You are naturally movement oriented. So your mind is going to speed up tremendously over the next 7 years. Your environment will change and you'll start acting on ideas faster than you have previously. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what the third house rules, like I was saying. So this is your communication. It's how you speak and it's how you express your ideas. It's daily routine and environment. It's going to be about learning and your skills. Siblings, so your actual brothers and sisters, and it's also going to be close, I guess, one-on-one relationships, because while it's still siblings, you still have other family members and you still have other people that you consider to be family that are close to you. Neighbors, you talk to your neighbors on a daily or you see your neighbors on a daily. This will be also short distant travel. So how you move about in your day to day, as far as like running errands or how you drive to work or other areas. It's just like kind of like your local town, local travel, you'll move differently. Social media, it is the content and the networking of social media in this house. So basically your mental world is going to become very unpredictable for you. You're going to be very innovative with your thought patterns and the way you speak and the way you move. So your mind is going to be just as active as you are physically. So let's talk about what actually happens here. So you're going to start speaking and expressing yourself more. So like I was saying, you're naturally action oriented. So you, I guess, maybe communicate more a little bit through your actions, where you're actually going to speak more about your thoughts and your movements and your ideas. You're going to become more vocal. Okay? You're going to be more direct. Now, with that being said, you are already bold. You're bold with your actions. I think you're going to find yourself being more bold with your words. So there's ups and downs to that, right? So especially with being impulsive, you are an impulsive energy. So you'll want to be mindful of that over the next 7 years, because you could, like I said, you can be impatient. So the way you speak, you might want to, be mindful of slowing it down a little bit, because you are already action oriented, and then you throw that on top of your mind in the way you speak. It's not a bad combo. You'll just want to be mindful of slowing down in case your impulsiveness makes you say something or do something that you might want to go back on, kind of thing. So examples of this could be posting online regularly. So you'll find yourself being more vocal through social media. You're going to share your opinions more openly. Not a bad thing, but again, you might want to be a little careful, because it could get you in trouble if you happen to say something that maybe it was the way you said it. You might want to think about the way you say things, being more open. So you could actually, because we are coming into the digital world, find yourself doing a podcast. That's about what's happening here is, AI, and innovative ways of how we communicate and share ideas is going to be more digital. And so, like, you could be doing a blog, right? You could just be doing some kind of content, whatever your ideas are and your thoughts are, could be through content platform, right? Because like I said, everything is going digital. Well, not everything, but a good majority of it is. So you're learning, like I said, going into the third house is about your learning and your skills. So you're going to pick up skills quickly. So, and it's funny that I kind of combine the two. So I'm a Gemini rising. So me coming into the next 7 years, I'm going to have to slow down myself, because I'm already naturally in the Gemini energy. So I'll have more thoughts, and my mind is going to probably go faster than my words. So I'm personally going to have to slow down, because I'm already in this energy. You will be stepping into the energy and feeling it like I normally do, where I'm going to be 10 times faster. So I have to slow down, let my thoughts catch up to the words, and not start mixing up these words and getting squirrely on you. So like I said, you will pick up new skills quickly, but you're going to find yourself jumping between those skills. So that's a Gemini trait, where we have a lot of ideas and we're like, ooh, let's go over here, let's do this. Oh, let's go do that. Well, let's do this over here. And it's hard to ground ourselves to make sure that we are actually moving out and completing like the ideas that come to us. So for you, your interests will switch up frequently, much like a Gemini. Okay, so that's one thing that you'll want to be mindful of, just like I'm really going to have to be mindful of. Your daily routine, like I said, is going to change up quite a bit. So your schedule is going to be less predictable, because you may schedule in certain things for that week and then your mind's going to change, right? Something else is going to come your way some new idea, new thought, and you'll start rearranging your schedule because you'll feel like maybe this idea is going to be more important than something else. And your schedule will rearrange, okay? So just, be mindful that's going to happen for you. Your habits. Your daily habits will change up. So you might find that something you do in the morning, you may change it up and find yourself doing it in the evening or the afternoon. Or you may decide there's a habit you don't want to do anymore. You'll pick up a new habit and then maybe you'll switch back to the old habit, right? It's kind of a trial and error for you, right? Because you're going to have so many ideas coming at you. Your daily structure will change up, like I said, and, you might take a new commute. So you stick to the same way you go to work, or maybe you stop off at a certain store. Maybe you go to Starbucks, you pick up a coffee. You're going to change it up. Maybe you're not going to go to Starbucks anymore. You're going to go over to Dunkin' Donuts, right? And then it's going to take your commute a different way. You're just going to find yourself moving differently and wanting to explore and venture out in different avenues. And it will change up your daily routine and your structure. And it's not a bad thing. It's just you're trying new things. You're trying new places. You're trying new coffee. How about that? Yeah, your errands and everything will change up. Okay, so your daily environment will be very different. You may do it the same way for a week that you've always done it. The next week you're gonna totally change it all up, and then you might go back to the old way. You're just gonna be unpredictable. How about that? You're gonna have these sudden ideas that just come out of nowhere. You're going to take immediate action on things. So you're going to act on ideas quickly without overthinking them. Okay? So you could get an idea and you'll start that idea that same day. Whether it's a project or it could be a conversation. Maybe there's a conversation with somebody that needs to be had, siblings and one-on-one neighbors, family, extended family, friends. You could start finding yourself having more conversations, or maybe there's a conversation you've held off on for a long time and you'll suddenly feel the urge to have, hey, let's sit down, let's have a conversation. There's something specific you need to talk about, and you'll move out on that. Your network is going to grow. You're going to meet new people through shared ideas. So when you have these ideas, you'll start finding yourself connecting to people that might share that same idea. I will tell you, what I find very interesting is I'm a Gemini rising, I'm a Gemini moon, and it is my south node. So I do have a lot of Gemini. What I've discovered over the past couple of years, now mind you, I've been at the same job for 11 years and I've worked in the same area for 11 years. Now I've just recently started transitioning out, but what I discovered through the past 11 years, not realizing it, I was connected to a lot of Gemini sun signs. As a matter of fact, to be more exact, I think I discovered about 5 that I worked with on a daily basis. I didn't even know it. And even though I'm not a sun sign Gemini, I am a rising. So I am a lot more like a Gemini in my day-to-day outer world and activities, where I am a sun Scorpio. So the way I move out on my job is Scorpio-like, but in my communications, my day-to-day, I've somehow connected to more Geminis than ever. So that's kind of what I'm saying for you is with your ideas, you might start connecting with more Gemini folks that are rising and sun sign and moon sign, which I find interesting. And also, even I've connected to a lot of moon Geminis, which is interesting because even though I have a channel and I do tarot and I'm doing like this informative video for you now, I have found that there are a couple of readers, spiritual folks that I watch on the daily are moon Geminis. I'm a moon Gemini. So you'll start realizing you're connecting to more folks that are like-minded with ideas, which I just find interesting. So you might actually go through that. Aries, maybe you'll find, maybe I'll start connecting to more Aries because of you being action-oriented. It'll be interesting. My brother-in-law is an Aries. I know a lot of Aries. And I do get along with them, which is kind of funny. So you might find yourself connecting to more Geminis. You might not know it right off the bat like me, but you might discover it somewhere along the 7 years, okay? Just got off on a little tangent there, but hey, hang with me here. So back to the siblings and close relationships. The dynamics might shift quickly, okay? So you could find yourself becoming closer to your siblings in your close relationships, or that you could find there's a difference. There could be falling outs. You may drift away, right? Or you may drift closer. It kind of depends on, do they share the same vision, the same ideas as you do? There could be more communication, or there could be sudden breaks in communication, right? So it could go either way for you. It just kind of depends, because you have to remember every one of the zodiacs is going through a major 7-year shift. And depending on the rising sign and the moon sign and where, Uranus was when they were born, is going to change which house each of these folks are focusing on. So we're all focusing, even though the main focus of this 7-year transit is how we communicate, and how we innovate technology with AI, everything moving faster, thinking faster, having more ideas. Even all that's happening, everybody's experiencing it differently depending on what house they're falling into over the next 7 years. So that's why there might be a break with somebody you used to be close with in your family, your neighbors, your day-to-day. There might be a little bit of distance for a little bit because you guys, each of you, are experiencing this differently. So it's not necessarily you're breaking away from siblings, but they may break away from you. So it's not just you breaking away. They could be breaking away from you because they're experiencing the next 7 years a little differently themselves, okay? So for the sun signs, okay, this will be more of the internal experience for you. So this is where it gets intense for you, but it will be productive. Okay, so don't think that you're going through this for nothing. So for the Aries sun sign, while it will be intense but productive, you're about action, independence, and speed. The Uranus in Gemini. So this will be the ideas, the movement, and being unpredictable. So this is where it will be intense for you because you're feeling it internally with, the mind and the thoughts, the way they will connect, okay? So it's going to be a high alignment combo, because you're very internally action moving out. You'll jump on your bike, or you'll jump on social media, or you'll jump into a new learning skill, where now it'll be the ideas aligning with the movement. So it will feel like a lot for you, but it's gonna be a huge learning experience. Okay, you thrive. Okay, so when it comes to fast-paced changes, you thrive in that. Okay, because you're already action-oriented. You're confident, and you move with confidence, and you're bold, you're courageous. You just move out. You don't get overwhelmed, okay? And you won't feel overwhelmed, but you will feel really energized. So, for an example, others are going to feel pretty scattered through this, because, if you're not an air sign, or I believe if you're not an air sign or a fire sign, because of the quick speed in movement and thoughts, you're going to feel a little scattered. Okay, so it's gonna be a little bit of a struggle. You are going to feel motivated and alive, okay, because now it's between the physical movement and the ideas, the thoughts, and the communication. So you're going to be combining the both together, which is going to be really nice. Okay, so air signs and fire signs, I feel, while you're going to feel the change, it's going to be a little bit more comfortable for you than it will, I believe, for water signs and earth signs. They're going to feel a little bit more out of their element, which I totally get. I just came out of the 12th house. My 12th house is ruled, it's ruled by Pisces. Let me get that straight. But for my particular natal chart, when I was born, I have Pisces in the 12th, I have Taurus in the 12th house. I don't have any planets in Taurus. I don't have any planets in Virgo. I do have Capricorn. So I don't have a lot of Earth. So for me, in experiencing the last 7 years of kind of slowing down, was very difficult for me. So for, the earth signs that don't move out as quickly are going to feel more anxious through this transit, is kind of where I'm getting at. You're going to act faster than ever. Okay? You're already action oriented. No problem for you there. It's going to speed up more. Okay? So if you're in a household where you have a lot of earth energy, they're going to notice a change in you, because you already move quickly. You're already out the door doing things, in projects, just getting into all kinds of different things, right? You're going to be even more so, because you're going to have more ideas than you already do. And you're going to be trying to move out on all those ideas. So bless those people that are, if they are heavily earth oriented, they're going to watch you like this, right? It's going to be like a tennis match. You know what I mean? They're like, what are they doing now? So it'll be interesting for you. So that's why I said, even with siblings and close relationships, there might be a little bit of a break, because they're not in your element, and they're going to be watching you, constantly getting into things. So your thinking, it is going to become sharper and quicker, which will be nice. That'll be a good thing. Faster decision making. you already have confidence, but you're going to have more confidence, which is a good thing. So you are going to trust your instincts while you're moving quickly, which is really nice. While it's not normally your element to do that, you're going to be comfortable in that element. You're going to feel more confidence. You're going to be more direct and more bold in your communication, where maybe you were not as confident and bold, like your movements were, but your speaking in your mind wasn't. So it's all going to connect up together, which is nice. Like the pieces of the puzzle are coming together. You're going to speak up in situations. Like I said, you used to hold back. And so you're going to have an opinion. And if there's something on your mind that's bothering you, you're going to say it. However, I will say, because of you being impulsive and being so bold, all right, and aggressive, because you can be aggressive. I know. I have Aries in my Mars, and it's ruled. Aries rules Mars, and as well as Scorpio. I get the quickness of, if you got something to say and you might be a little agitated, you're going to say it. You're going to do it. I would only recommend slowing down and making sure you're not saying something that's too rough around the edges, right? So while this is going to be a beautiful thing for you, it's also, there's ups and downs to everything. Just like for me, having a platform, me being on here, I'm going to have to learn to make sure I'm slowing down so my mind and my voice are synced. Otherwise, I'm going to be tripping up on my words left and right constantly as I'm doing readings or doing informative videos. I'm going to have to learn to slow down. Otherwise, people are going to be like, what the F did you just say? What was that word you just combined it? Because I'm over here, like a motor mouth, because my mind's like, it's registering all this information, and my words are not going to be able to keep up. So that's why with you, I'm saying you can say things if you're upset in a way that will be very impulsive and might be hurtful. So you'll want to be mindful of that, okay? But it's a good thing that you don't hold back. If there are conversations, important conversations that need to be said, if things are bothering you, if there's something going on with your living situation, your partner, your spouse, family, coworkers, if you do need to have a conversation and speak up about it, it's a great thing that you're going to do it. You're just going to want to take a deep breath, take a step back before you say something that comes across in a way you don't really mean it to, but the other person's going to take it immediately in a negative way. So, you're going to have short attention span. Ugh. Yes. Geminis are much like squirrels. We get bored very quickly. I can be in a meeting, and if somebody's speaking monotoned, or, if an email pops up and, I'm going to jump over and look at the email, where normally, Geminis can listen to conversations while they're doing something else. So they can multitask really well. You're going to find yourself having shorter attention spans where you're giving your attention to multiple things at one time. And it's okay if you can manage a couple of things, but if you do too many things, then you're going to miss the point or the conversation or what's happening in each of these things that are going on simultaneously. So you're going to want to be mindful of that. Starting too many projects or doing too many things at one time and not finishing them. Okay. I'm famous. I get it. I know. I'm in that energy. I live it. Okay. I live that energy. You're going to be in that energy. So be mindful of it. Okay. So for rising signs, the external environment, the environment will change up, which we already know because we're living in a world of AI. We communicate differently. We communicate through different devices now. We're getting more ideas. So that is going to change for the rising sign. For the sun sign, you're going to find yourself actually acting more on the changes, okay? So you're going to constantly be getting ideas and you're going to say, I'm actually doing something about them, which is a good thing, right? You're getting out of your comfort zone. All of us are getting out of our comfort zones. So what is this going to look like for you, possibly over the timeline? So in the early phase, right, the first to second year, you're going to feel mentally restless because you're not used to being in that Gemini energy of all the thoughts, okay? You're going to find yourself wanting stimulation and change. That's Gemini, okay? Our minds like to be into things, right? Whether we're learning something, we're reading up on something, we're talking to somebody, our mind needs to be focused on something. We can't let it wander or it gets away from us. So that's where the restlessness is going to be for you. So by the middle phase, as you're a few years into this, you're going to start learning new things, okay? You're going to be speaking more. You're going to be connecting with people more. It's going to be rapid idea generation for you. The peak phase, as you're coming towards closer to the 7 years, you're actually going to start acting on these ideas, okay? Increased visibility in movement. And by the final phase, your communication skills are going to be strong, okay? A network and skills. So you're going to have network and skill to build through experimentation, okay? So like I was saying, the main risks, challenges for you over the next 7 years, you're already impulsive, okay? But you're going to want to be mindful of the impulsiveness without the follow through, okay? Taking action too fast without thinking, like I said, not only with just your actions, but your communications that you have with your siblings, your one-on-one close relationships. Be mindful on speaking too quickly, all right? You could experience mental burnout from constant stimulation because you're not used to it. So you're going to want to have those boundaries. The best way to work with this transit, the key is channeling speed and direction at the same time. So capture your ideas. So if you have a lot of ideas, write them down or document them somewhere. Don't feel the need to move out on them right then and there. That's what's going to make you lose direction on what you really want to do, what ideas you really want to move out on. And I'm bad about this. I have to get better about this myself. It's something I need to work on. But as you get a lot of these ideas that come to you, just write them down, okay? Don't feel you have to act out on them. Just jot them down. Then go back and go through them and see where you really want to act on, okay? Choose a few of those ideas that you want to do, that you want to follow through on, okay? Because what's going to happen is you're going to write that list down, and then you're going to start to categorize, a few of the ideas. You're going to see that, oh, if I start this idea, well, this idea can be something I can tap into or add into this idea later on, right? So that way you're not trying to do 50 million things at one time. Because like I was telling one of the other signs that I did this video for, you don't want to find yourself spreading yourself too thin, because then you can't give all your attention and energy to 50 million things in a 24-hour period. So if you don't narrow it down to a couple of things, you're going to find yourself not following through and accomplishing any of the goals that you really want to accomplish. You can, when you take a couple of these ideas and you start focusing on them, if you find that some of the other ideas that you jotted down could eventually be added into a few of the big ideas that you really want to do, you can tack those in later on. Don't try to integrate everything at once. It just isn't going to work. So the big truth about this, all right? Gemini is about ideas and communication. Uranus is sudden change. So all this is going to be sudden. That's why I'm saying take the ideas, jot them down, go back to them later. The main point is about turning the ideas into action faster than ever before. So that's why you don't want to do too many things, because, it's going to end up being a big ball of a mess. You don't want to do it. So the final takeaway, all right? This is a move fast, think fast, speak fast era, all right? You're sharper mentally, you're more confident in your voice, and far more active in shaping your environment. So let's move over. I want to get you a couple of oracle messages. One from Higher Self Messages and one from Sacred Soul Messages to close this out. All right, so what do we have for the Aries collective, please, for the Higher Self Messages? What do we got for them? Reach for your dream, knowing that it's already coming true. Okay, so you're going to have ideas that's going to feel like a dream to you. You're already action oriented. That's you naturally. So now it's okay. You're going to think of a dream, and then you're already capable of reaching because you're action oriented. Now it's, what is my dream? What is it that I want to do? Because you already know you're action oriented. Now it's just sitting down and jotting down these ideas, like I said, and figuring out, what is it I want to do over the next 7 years? What is it? All right, let's go to Sacred Soul. What do we have here? Yeah, because you already reach for things. You already get into it. It's just, what is my dream? What do we have here for Aries? Maybe you search the branches for what is only in the roots. Go deeper. Look elsewhere. You need more. Exactly. you're going to want to remain rooted and grounded so you can look deeper at the ideas that you jot down. So that way you can reach for that goal over the next 7 years as we're all moving through this transit, okay? You're going to find yourself needing more than just whatever you've been doing that has been surface, okay? So I'm not saying you're a surface level person. What I'm saying is you already action oriented. So you already get into things. You already do them. But now it's, what do I really want to do? And then that way you can go deeper when you look at all these ideas. So you can change those acts. Maybe a lot of the stuff you're already currently doing may not really fulfill you. And now you're going to get these ideas, right? And communication. It could be communication as well. You're going to need to go deeper with your communication. Have more meaningful conversations with loved ones. So it's not just about your ideas and your dreams. It's also learning to have more deeper conversations, because there were times you didn't say things that you really wanted to say. So this is a whole combination of just going deeper in a different way. So Aries, I hope this was helpful. If it resonates, if you found this to be informative, please hit the like button, share, subscribe. If you know another Aries that might find this information helpful, share with them. I'm looking forward to doing readings over the next 7 years, to kind of tap into your energy, see where you're at, see where the collective's at, and see how it's going, what the challenges are, and what the growth spurts are. I hope this was helpful. I love you guys, and until the next one, I'll talk to you soon.